Crazies, man. Y'all are in the lab. Lee here. Y'all saw that title too as well. Got you a trip report. Yes, latest trip report. Creed 3. Creed 3. Before we all get this going, do remember that, I dive down these rabbit holes and do these psychedelic journeys because that is my mission, my goal, my path to help people push people out of the void. You've heard me say this, I've done this many, many times in my life, and in this life particularly, I have had my fair share of 600 plus journeys into the astral realms. And, psychedelics are a wonderful tool and gift from Earth itself for us as a kind of get back to where we are. And sometimes you need to go deep within inside your mind and yourself, your body, your heart, to kind of find yourself. Everybody knows that, this month and a half, coming on 2 months, mom's been being able to be passed away for that long. And for me, I haven't really had this time to release my pain, my anger, my emotions, my thoughts, technically, in a sense. I have my thoughts, but I got so much other stuff on the back burner, that it hasn't had time to focus on her, or on those emotions for me and her, in a sense of spiritual wise. Well, last night I decided to drop down 2 nice strong ones, clean. It's about 4 UG plus, and it was wonderful. Through and Creed 3. And if you don't know Creed 3, Creed is basically the new write-off of the Rocky series. This one was actually produced, written by Michael B. Jordan, and it was awesome. It was one of those stories, I guess I should give you a background with me. As a kid, yes, I had all these adventures in life, but as a kid, I got myself in a little bit of trouble. Got myself into fights and trouble with the law. And, the bits of this story was kind of his childhood and flashes of mine, intertwined, because you can always lose yourself into a character. That's what you're supposed to do. But the 2 main characters of this was basically both of me, both my sides, my old twin flame or new flame or whatever. And so I'm watching this, and there's trying to give no spoil alerts, and there's a scene, basically how it starts off and how this kind of the whole story of, backstory of how he ended up in a group home. But I got into a fight when I was a kid, and some shit happened, and I ran away, didn't get in trouble for it, if that makes any sense. I ran away from that, and a lot of people got in trouble. A lot of other friends got, put up, not for that situation, got put up. So it was kind of like I avoided the situation, kind of like running away from my feelings in a sense. And so it goes on and on and on. And, Mother, who's played by Claire Huxtable, that's all I could think of her name. And his mother, played by Claire Huxtable, was in the movie, and, it was a sense of, I knew what was about to happen with that too as well. It's, it's jumping into it, his mom passes away in this movie, and it broke me. That's the part that broke me in a sense as a man, a being, of wanting to push myself further, lost, not know where to go. And it was so true, because not just, with him losing his mother in the movie, it felt so real to me because I had just lost my mother and I didn't know when to go. Everything is coming all at once. It's kind of like the past feelings of us, is right there, the future. And, destroyed me a little bit. Well, it did destroy me. Well, my mom passed away, destroyed, but this part let me release all this feelings, this uncertainty, I guess, grief, I guess, anger, I guess, confusion. And I bawled my eyes out, teared my eyes out, tears of joy, because I knew she was sitting there right there next to me, and it was just that part. And everything was going around, and in the movie, everything was falling apart. I'd seen it going through, and so it was kind of a sense of when the whole funeral thing going on, and it was kind of just saying goodbye to his mom, and it was like I was saying goodbye to that part of my life, that part of the old flame, if you want to call it that. And it resonated so much for me. I always say the universe puts you in places at the right time, right place where you're supposed to be, and it was where I was supposed to be. So through all this kid that was his best friend during the movie actually comes as a kid, comes back into his life, and this motherfucker's a beast. It kind of like an old school. It kind of reminded you of old school EA's Knockout, or Fight Kings, but it was kind of a boxing story, kind of like old Mike. It was tight. This motherfucker was huge, dude, and it was kind of like this beast that was just driving and holding or sitting on my chest. And so, through all this thing, I understood the story. I was in the groove. I'm on the forward path, and it ran up. They gotta do this fight. They gotta fight. He has to. Creed steps back into Reed, and from retirement, and he's like, man, I gotta put this boy down. He's coming in. He's just trying to ruin everything. He's trying to, whatever it is. And so the fight starts, gets in there. First 2 rounds, it's just, moving, going, flowing. And it's in the part of where the flame of me, my new self, and my old self are sitting here. And that's kind of how I pictured how this fight is in my, in my head, in my mind, my vision, my soul, my spirit right now, was in there. And, after the second round, it goes into this black and white kind of in your mind scene, and you're walling, and if anybody's ever been in a psychedelic experience and understanding the visions of how this system works, your faces change, you see different things different ways, and it was like I was looking at my old self, my old kid, that old way of living or thinking. And I've changed a little bit, a lot in my, the 6 years, but that thinking of that old beast, everything that, mom, my past and everything, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it dead in the face. You gotta understand, I'm creating this and fighting the dude. And as I'm fighting these demons, I'm fighting these old karmas, these old release or spirits that for all of us, we have these old thoughts, these old spirits, these old karmas on us, and these old pains that aren't part of us. Yes, some are, but most of them aren't part of us. And as I'm sitting there, we're going, and I feel what's going on. I know what's going on. I'm understanding. I'm watching. I'm getting that eye of that tiger, and I'm focused. I'm leaning into what I'm supposed to be doing. And as I'm going, myself, my flame, that new tiger, the eye, the flame of me, roars. It comes out. It pops on fire. And it was like this new light, this new magnet of myself as we're in this. And we're still in the black and white part. And I'm just going at it. And all of a sudden, everything lit up. I stood up, and we're still going. I was like, just get off me! Get off me! I'm fighting, and I'm going. And it was like as soon as I did that, pushed all that negative, all that old, all that juju that had nothing to do with me, had nothing to do with the sense of this. It was a system that was put on me, and it just pushed all this old, all that, just pushed it off. And it was like I could look into the eyes. I don't know what you call it. Just like I just call it just energy, bad energy. Can't call it the devil. Can't call it. It was just that energy that was just sitting on your chest, and I pushed them off. And as soon as I pushed them off, the bell rung. The bell rung, and then you sit back, and it was like you go back to your corners, and And I'm staring, and this whole time is kind of like, keep an eye on what you're doing, keep an eye on the prize, make sure stuff's going on. And then it goes back, it's like 11 rounds gone. And, we went to black and white in 2 rounds. So in my mind, I was like, 11 years, it's round 12, let's go. I knew what was going. I see it on the ropes. I see the pain that was inside me. Now it's time to make sure it don't come back. And I'm telling you, as soon as that bell rang again for this final round, everything, my animal instincts, my spirits, my everything, the eye of the tiger, the teeth, the veins, the whole thing, the DNA within me, because we all have animal DNA, we all got beast in us, clicked on. And I'm looking at the opponent, and I'm just like, this is gonna be it. This is it. There's no more of this. It's and I'm just going on it, and it's time to knock this fool out of my life, out of my things, out of it all. It's wow. And it was like, it was something that it was, for me, such a monumental moment of my path of enlightenment, path of journey, my new step in life, because it was, I put that pain, I put that energy, that was sitting on my chest, riding me the whole fucking time, through a lot of, almost my life, all my life, in a sense. And just pushed it, knocked it down, put it down. World champ. And it was this feeling of just veils of abundanceness, gold, and all the extravagant abundances of just life, of love, of happiness, of peace, of light, of just everything you can imagine was received at this moment. And it was wonderful. It was one of the most, I have to say, fundamental trips I've had that woke me back up, put that eye in my, the eye of the tiger back in me, put that fire back in me, that just moved to bring me back to who I was, and better than who I was, better now than I was then, and to make it great, and to do what I'm supposed to do. And, through all this, after the fight, Curry goes back to the locker room, talks to him, sits down, and just lets him know, she's like, hey man, this wasn't on you. Even mine, even the old me, I would say, said it wasn't on you either, brother. And I understood that. I understood that more than you could ever imagine, especially lately, because the universe has been aligning me, giving me signs every corner that I step. And it's wonderful. And I understood it. And then I understood it, said, hey man, anytime you need to talk, it's kind of like that inner child. Come talk, And it was wonderful. But through all this and through all the movie, I got through the great part of the trip, of this, the strength part. As you know, in the movie, Creed has a daughter. His girl and his daughter both have hearing problems. And it was funny because they were signing through the movie, and I didn't have the captions on, and so it was crazy that as they were signing and speaking kind of quietly, I could hear it. And it taught me to, when I was hearing it, every time they were doing sign language, talking to each other, as a family, it was one of those, it understood it. If you just listen, quiet down, listen, you can hear what everything is trying to tell you, what your angels are telling you, what your spirit guides are telling you, what, even yourself is telling you. And it was wonderful. And, through this, I look, at my child, on how close or how programmed they're trying to cut our powers off, that enlightenment, put shit in us that we don't need. And it's time for us all to not just look at us and look at the world, you know, for just what it is. It's time to change it, you know. It's time to do something for not just yourself and the ones you love, but for the world. Because the more positivity we put in this world, we can change. The more positivity goes out, the more positivity grows. It's crazy. It was a wonderful trip. It was one of those, just, I'm telling you, you know, forever in my head. All my trips were meaningful, but this was definitely a wonderful trip, because not alone that I found this inner peace now back within myself, release of, you know, my mother in a sense that had to be released, but also getting my eye, my thought, my minds, this fire, my drive, my love, my just what all it is within this. And it's something that I was missing. It was something that I let, you know, I lost it when Mom passed, and you know, I didn't know really what to do, and now I do. It's crazy. But I hope you enjoyed this trip report. Like I said, anybody who does these things, go down, you know, down these journeys, understand to do it in a safe setting. Not all these times for that, but understand that, you know, going through in the movies the way I want to teach and show who you are is listening characters, finding yourself, letting go of yourself and everything that we've all been taught. Because everything that you've been taught, and I don't care what you talk or, you know, if you've learned it from their system, it's a lie. And just remember to keep your mind just free of that, free of clutter. I know it's hard, but understand that you know the truth, you will find the truth. And if you can't, it'll come. Believe me, it will. Thank you for listening. Thank you as always. You know, it's always a pleasure. I love each and every one of you. Hope y'all have a wonderful one. And remember, y'all, keep your mind open, because you know those eyes will see everything in front of you. Y'all stay blessed and y'all stay crazy.
You gave us something we never thought we could have.
And what is that?
Another chance.
I think I heard a shot. I think I heard a shot.